On a normal Tuesday morning, a farmer was cutting peat. His spade hit something soft. He looked down. A face looked back. Not a skull. A face. Skin still on it. Eyes closed. Stubble still there. Peaceful expression, like the man was sleeping. Except this man had been dead for over 2,000 years. His name is Tolland Man. He was found in a Danish bog in 1950. And the moment scientists examined him, they realized something that changed everything we thought we knew about ancient Europe. He didn't just die, he was killed. Slowly, deliberately, ritually, and he wasn't alone. Across northern Europe, hundreds of bodies like his have been pulled from the bogs. Each one ancient. Each one killed, each one placed there. On purpose. This is the story of the bog bodies. And what they reveal about us, about human nature, is deeply, deeply disturbing. If you're the kind of person who wants the history they never taught in school, the buried, the hidden, the uncomfortable ones, then this is your channel. Subscribe to Sri Unplugged. Let's go. Date is May 8th, 1950. A bog near Silkeborg, Denmark. Two brothers, Viggo and Emil Højgaard, were cutting peat for fuel. It was a common job. Bogs were the coal mines of the ancient world. Dense, compressed peat burned well. So they dug. And then they stopped. A body. They called the police, thinking recent murder. But when archaeologists arrived, they dated the remains. This man had died around 400 BCE to 200 CE. Over 2,000 years in that dark, cold, acidic water. And yet his face was intact, his wrinkles, his stubble, even the furrow of his brow. They named him Tolland Man, after the village near where he was found. He was wearing a leather cap, a belt around his waist, nothing else, and around his neck a braided leather rope, tied in a very deliberate knot. He had been hanged or strangled. Forensic scientists still debate the exact cause, but they agree on this. Someone put him in that bog with intention, not thrown in, placed, gently, like they cared. And that detail, the care, is what makes this case so haunting. Because Tolland Man was not a one-off, not an isolated crime. Within 2 years, another body was found, Man, Denmark, 1952. Different bog, different location, same era. But his death was far more violent. Throat cut ear to ear, skull cracked from a blow to the head, leg broken. Was he tortured? Almost certainly. Then, Lindo Man, found in England in 1984. A peat cutter hit something. Again. Lindo Man had been struck 3 times on the head, then strangled. Then his throat was cut. 3 methods of death, on one body, at the same time. Scientists have a name for this, the triple death. And when you see the same pattern across different countries, different bogs, different centuries, you stop calling it murder. You start calling it ritual. Let's talk about where these bodies were found, because the bogs are not random. A bog is a very specific environment. Cold, still, oxygen-starved, dense with a moss called sphagnum. That moss releases acid as it decays. And that acid does something extraordinary. It stops decomposition completely. It tans organic material like skin, hair, nails, like a tannery tans leather. This is why Tolland Man's face survived. This is why Man's fingerprints are still intact. This is why we can reconstruct what these people ate hours before they died. Because the stomach contents survived too. Tolland Man's last meal was a porridge. Grains, seeds, plants over 30 different species. Carefully prepared, deliberately mixed. Not a normal meal, too complex, too specific. Man ate something almost identical. A porridge of wild plants and grains, consumed hours before death. Here is what this means. These men were fed, before they were killed. A specific meal, a ritual meal. And if they were fed, they may have known what was coming. They may have agreed or been compelled. We don't know which. That ambiguity is the most disturbing part of all of this. Now the bogs were not just convenient burial sites. They were sacred spaces. To the Iron Age peoples of Northern Europe, the bogs were liminal zones, places between the living world and the world of the gods. Dark, still, borderless. Archaeologists have found thousands of offerings thrown into bogs. Weapons, jewelry, food, animals. All offerings to gods of the water, gods of the earth, gods of the harvest. The bodies may have been the ultimate offering, not discarded. Given. Here is where assumptions collapse. When people first heard human sacrifice, they imagined slaves, criminals, outsiders. But look closer at the evidence. Man had manicured nails, soft hands, a well-fed, healthy body. This was not a slave, not a farmer, not a prisoner. This was a man of status. Tolland Man was similarly well-nourished, no signs of hard physical labor on his body. Some researchers now believe these were not the lowest members of society. They may have been among the highest. There is a tradition, documented across multiple ancient cultures, the willing sacrifice of a leader, a king, a chief, a priest. When harvests failed, when disease spread, when war threatened, the community's most powerful member would offer themselves, or be offered, to appease the gods, to reset the balance, to save everyone else. This is known as the sacred king theory. It remains controversial, but it would explain why these men were placed so carefully, why their expressions were peaceful, why they were given ritual meals. They weren't thrown away, they were sent. And then there's another layer. Some of the bog bodies show signs of extreme social humiliation before death. Nipples cut off, which in Iron Age Celtic culture symbolized the removal of kingship, since rulers were suckled by their subjects. Hair shaved on one side, placed face down in the bog, a position of shame. Some researchers believe these were not willing sacrifices. These were criminals, political enemies, people who betrayed the tribe. The violence was the punishment. The bog was the erasure. Both theories exist. Both have evidence, which means both were probably true, at different times in different places. Human sacrifice was not one thing, it was many things. And that is what makes the bog bodies so irreducibly human. For centuries, when farmers found these bodies, they reburied them. Quietly. No records. Some thought they were recent murders. Others thought they were cursed. In Ireland, bog bodies were given quiet Christian burials, because the church controlled the historical narrative. And human sacrifice in ancient Europe was deeply inconvenient. It complicated the story Europe told about itself, the story of civilization, of progress, of superiority. But Tolland Man doesn't care about that story. Neither does Grobale Man, or Lindo Man, or the 1,000 other bodies still sitting in museum storage, unstudied, unexamined, waiting. Because here's the number that should stop you cold. Over 1,000 bog bodies have been found across Northern Europe. 1,000. And that's only what's been recovered. Vast sections of those ancient bogs have never been excavated. How many more are there? How many more final meals have been preserved in that dark, cold water? How many more faces are waiting to be found? Over 2,000 years ago, someone killed Tolland Man. Someone also placed him in that bog. Gently, carefully, closed his eyes, arranged his hands, left him in the water, and walked away. Did they grieve? Did they believe this would save their people? Did it? We don't know. What we do know is this. Tolland Man's face, after all that time, all that water, all that darkness, still looks like he's sleeping. Still looks like he might open his eyes. Still looks like there's something he wants to tell us. We just haven't figured out what yet. If this made you think differently about ancient history, subscribe to Sri Unplugged and watch the next video, because the history they buried is always the most interesting kind.